Hi, this is about the Ninja 300 symptoms of a throttle cable slipping. You can see here I've got the throttle all the way turned off and I'm turning and it's not engaging until here. And then it also sticks. So if you find that you've got a problem with the throttle not engaging for a half turn or a quarter turn and that it's sticky, you may have the same issue with iron. The issue is that the cable, I'm going to point with the screwdriver here, winds around a disc in here, and the cable has slipped off against the side wall here, off of the disc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, these two screws, one here, one there, and you can see in the bottom here, there's a number of different cables that have to fit into all the right places to put it back on, but it's a quick 5-minute job once you're used to it. Here I'm undoing the bottom screw. There's the top screw loosened. You can basically unscrew them until they pop right out. Nothing will fall all over the floor. It's pretty fine actually. It holds together pretty well. Notice one screw's longer. This one here comes from the bottom of the throttle and this one comes from the top. And I always keep putting it here. It's pretty chronic now. I've had to take this apart 3 times, so I figured it out. So with the 2 screws unscrewed, you can see now there's a little gap here. And this plastic piece kind of pops off. It gets a little in the way of the gear shift, but with a little bit of futzing around you can get that out. You can see that this section here, genius that I am, you can see that this section right here, right there by my finger, fits over that cable that you see right under here. So when you put it back together, that's going to be, you're going to make sure that this cable is actually set inside the box there. There's a little square you can see. If that pops out, you just got to push that back in just to make sure it's seated. This cable as well will have some seating problems, quite possibly. And then there's one other trick to putting it back together. But you can see here that the cable has come off this wheel. So it has slipped in beside the plastic that's here. It slipped off of the throttle wheel there. And this has been happening fairly regularly, so I'm guessing I have to either figure out something that holds that cable in there tighter, that will hold it there tighter, or I have to get a new throttle box. So you can see I'm pulling this off, and that's all I really needed to do, was pull it back and away, and you can see the cable sets itself back on top, and I can push that back on. Now, here's the trick. To put this all back together, you can see my cables have popped out. I have to reseat those cables. And see that there? There's a little hole in the handlebar. This piece right there is what fits into that hole and keeps your throttle in one spot on the handlebar. So we're going to, when we put this back together, we're going to line that up, and that's when it'll go click and it'll go back in together. So, reseating these cables, this cable fits underneath there. Now this black one has a little square right here that fits nicely into there and holds the 2 in place. There we go. When it looks like that, you know you've got them in place. You can see also that the cable doesn't jump off to the side of that plastic anymore. And this is all fitting here. I can squeeze it tight. It all fits tight. Now the only thing left to do is put this plastic piece back on and then line it up with this hole. And again, just to let you know, you can see on the back here, there's 3 holes here. This thing is a little peg that sticks out. You can see it there, sticking out. That fits inside that hole right there on the handlebars. So, as you put it back together, you first line all the cables up and hope that they, well, not hope, it takes a little skill. You get them all lined up and you can see, okay, I've got this weird thing going on where I can rock this thing back and forth and it's not fitting, and that is only because that hole isn't lined up. So I turn it and I push towards the away from the handlebar knob, and now you can see that it's fit in there and it's locked tight. So now I'm ready to put the 2 screws back in. Once again, just to remind you that the long screw goes in the bottom and the shorter screw goes in the top. And you might want to hold it with your left hand closed and in place, and then your right hand can screw it. There's 2 things that let me know I've got this in the right place. Is when I squeeze it together, I can't turn it or push it inside in towards the handlebars or out and away from the bike. So that's how I know it's seated, and I can continue to screw the screws in. Okay, you can see here I'm just tightening up the last part of the handlebar screws, and that should eliminate that gap I see there. One thing I failed to mention was here is your throttle tightening screw for your cable. You can feel already that your cable engages right away. This set of screws here is responsible for tightening that cable overall. So you need to set it to your desired adjustment or responsiveness. Some people like, it's supposed to be a tiny bit of play there, so that as you turn it, just starts to engage right away. I know on the new machine, my son's machine over there, it engages instantly. So it's set so that you can hear the click of the throttle going to its lowest setting right when the handlebar engages. There's lots of videos about setting this cable settings. I'm not going to go into that, but basically that was about tearing apart this little baby, and I have to do that every once in a while until I figure out what part I can replace to stop it from happening. Hope this was helpful. Thanks.